Hi guys, it's Lindy, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Green Mile by Stephen King. Okay, just a quick starter to let you know I've had a lot of difficulty getting back into reading. I used to be the most avid reader. I'd read about a book every 2 days. If it was a harder book, every 3 days. And then I just kind of got out of habit, especially when I got older and in high school, like when I was a junior and senior, I just got out of habit and just only read for school. And now that I'm out of high school, I started thinking about that, and when I would explain to people I used to be such an avid reader, it kind of made me sad because I would like to be considered an avid reader still. Then I started to watch a bunch of booktubers and I got really inspired to start reading, and then I thought to myself, why not become a booktuber myself? It would give me motivation to actually read more anyway. And so this is my first video and I'm going to be doing this review. So this is the first book I have read in like 3 months, probably 2-3 months. And what I will say is if you're out of reading and you want to get back into reading, this book is probably not the book you'd choose. I'd choose something shorter. This is about 536 pages in it. So I'd consider something a little bit more short and just more probably a more fun story. This story is a great story, but however, it was really difficult to get into it. I didn't actually get into the book until around page 200, so it took me a while. So it was a lot of work to finally get into it. But once I did, I just read straight through it, and it was a really great book. The beginning is very slow because Stephen King, this is the first book I've actually read by him ever, but Stephen King is very descriptive and he likes to go back and forth. He'll go back in the future and in the past, and he does it a lot, and he does it in a way that sometimes you get a little confused, or at least I got a little confused and would have to go back and reread a lot. So with his books, I found that I had to be a little bit more careful, at least when I first started reading, read just a little bit slower than I usually do. But ultimately, this is a great book. Alright, so it starts with the character Paul Edgecombe, and he works as a prison guard in Block E, which is the block where they keep the prisoners who are on death row. It's in 1932. Actually, the story is being written by Paul Edgecombe, and he's writing he's very old, and he's writing about the year 1932 because it stuck with him for his entire life and practically molded the rest of his life. This year changed his life forever, and from 1932 on, basically his life revolved around the memory of 1932. So what happens is Paul Edgecombe, he puts prisoners in the electric chair and he does all that stuff. Overall, you can tell that Paul's just a really good guy. He doesn't do anything to hurt people. These people are murderers, but he still treats them as human beings. He knows they're murderers, but he sees a different side of them, which is a really cool way to read because it lets you know, oftentimes people just, in writing, just write a bad character and a bad guy, and then you just hate them so much, and you just hate those characters so much, right? The bad guys, they're only bad. And that's how a lot of people look at murderers and stuff, for reasons that are well known. And however, though, Paul Edgecombe gives them personalities, or Stephen King, he gives them personalities. He makes you see a different side of them. So there's this horrible side to them, but then Stephen King writes it to where you can kind of feel bad for them or even like them. In a case, there was one prisoner I actually really liked, and it was very sad that he was on death row. And that's really interesting that an author can do that an author can take someone who has done such horrible things, but give them personality and give them depth and give us readers reason to like them. So anyway, another prisoner comes on the block, and his name is John Coffey, C-O-F-F-E-Y. Now his name is John Coffey, like the drink, but not spelled that way. And that's a line that gets repeated over and over and over in the book. It's a very beautiful, it becomes a very beautiful line in the end. When everything's wrapped up, it just becomes super beautiful. John Coffey comes on E-Block for the rape and murder of 2 little girls, but immediately, as big as he is and as intimidating as his figure is, he's very shy and innocent seeming, and Paul Edgecombe realizes this right away. Not that he's innocent, but the fact that he's just isn't a troublemaker, and that the crime that he did doesn't really match his personality at all. So this whole story is based around that, and this story is basically good versus evil. And I've heard my mom and my brother have read a lot of Stephen King, and they said that all of his books are basically good versus evil. And it's very interesting because this book, it does kind of highlight and push you towards the story of Jesus and his healing powers and stuff like that, and kind of gives that to a character, to John Coffey. I mean, everybody knows it. If you haven't seen the movie, then that's not really going to give away much. I don't really want to spoil anything, but I do rate this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me, just because it took so long for me to get into, and that was probably just because I haven't been involved in reading for a while. But overall, it was a really great story, and I really loved it. And one of my favorite lines was near the very end, and it was when Paul Edgecombe, I'm not going to say the line because that would spoil some things in the book, but Paul Edgecombe prayed with John Coffey, and that prayer, as simple as it was, just really, it was so beautiful to me. And it made me cry a little bit, and the very end definitely had me going. But I definitely recommend this book, and I hope to see you guys again with another book review. Thank you so much for watching and helping me start out my videos. Bye guys.